Fancy Joe Pulizzi. It was the co-author of a new book with Rob Rose, who couldn't be here because we didn't invite him.
No, we didn't.
Killing marketing. The premise of the idea is that marketing is going to go from a cost center to a value center.
Yep.
And a long time ago, I said the same thing about customer service departments. It could be the same. I also tend to think the customer service departments are the first marketing department. You, as original founder of Content Marketing Institute and several other projects, you have feet on the ground, but also client on the ground experiences. Why write this book, and what are you saying to people when you put it together?
You know, the simple explanation is anyone that's dealing with content creation right now, whether you're on the product side or the media side, the business models are exactly the same. And I don't think people see that happening. So the thing is that if you create content and build an audience on the brand side, you're selling some product, right? And if you're doing that for a media company, you're selling advertising or subscriptions. But you're choosing to do that. You could monetize that 10 different ways.
Right.
So what we're seeing right now is Mondelez and Pepsi have already come out and said, we're going to do this, we're going to try this. You've got, of course, Red Bull Media House.
Yeah, Red Bulletin was one of your examples.
B2B company that I just talked about speaking here was Aero Electronics. They own 51 media brands in the electronic space. They reach 76% of their total addressable market, and they profit from it. So the thing, I'm just trying to tell people, hey, look, this is happening, and you may not like it, but it's happening. With the ethics around it, it's a totally different issue. But innovative companies in the future, I believe, are going to do this model. They're already doing this model, and you can choose to build your audience and monetize it one way, or try to, or you could build an audience and monetize it multiple ways and actually create your own marketing budget.
So there's nothing I hate more than when people say, oh, that's B2C, but you just gave a B2B example.
Exactly.
So why do people think that way, and what are the similarities, or how do you get them to break that wall down?
Well, I mean, you can B2B, B2C, nonprofit, I don't care what it is, it's all people. You're building an audience, it just depends on how niche that audience is and how big. So, you know what the biggest difference is? For a B2C audience, it's probably larger than a B2B audience because it needs to be to monetize. Other than that, it's the same. You're still figuring out, okay, who's the specific audience? It can only be one. And what's what we call a content tilt? What is your differentiated story? Or are you talking about the same things as 20, 30, 40 other people? If you have a differentiated story and you can break through all the crap on the web, then you have an opportunity to build a trusted audience. And then once you do that, what are you going to sell? Products, services? You're going to get money donated? Are you going to sell subscriptions or premium content? Or are you going to do events like Salesforce? Salesforce is a great example.
Yep.
Yeah. So what's the second most valuable technology event in the world? It's Dreamforce. Who runs it? Salesforce. If they sold that event separately, it's worth hundreds of millions of dollars separately.
Just in the media.
They decide to use that to sell more of their software as a service products, but they don't have to. They can do whatever they want. So it's those types of things that are happening that I think we've just not noticed that this is sort of the new model at play, and we perceive media companies differently than product companies, but only in perception. The models are exactly the same.
So since 08, I've been talking about the intersection of content, community, and marketplace. I think that, so I'm one of those guys that's been known as the community guy because social networks are great and all that, and they kind of pigeonholed me as that, whereas I was like, I'm a media guy and I love revenue for companies, and I'm none of those things, because what I want is I want to develop a better marketplace. This is that. This is saying, there's a marketplace, the marketplace needs some kind of a story or campfire to get around, which is what you've said at Content Marketing Institute forever. You're now saying, and you can profit from that if you want.
Well, and the interesting thing is, before 1990, there were only 8 ways that consumers could get information. The events and trade shows and fax and email and whatnot. Well, now there are hundreds, if not thousands, of different ways. You know what hasn't changed? The marketing department. It's exactly the same as it's been since 75 years ago. So we just keep doing the same. Even though buying behavior has completely changed and access to audiences has changed, we set ourselves up around, for the most part, advertising, which makes no sense at all. Even if we're not doing advertising, we've set ourselves up around that. Not that I'm an advertising hater. No. There can be some value there, of course, but I'm like, why don't we take a step back and just ask the questions why we're doing this? Why are we setting ourselves up this way? Might be a better way to do it. We think we found it. You've been talking about it. I've been talking about it. I just don't want to see marketers make the same mistakes.
So, Joe, you've talked to a lot of the same kinds of companies, big companies, who, to your point, they're seeing it as squeezy balls, spreadsheets, etc. The same things. We just talked to Christopher Penn off camera, and his is like, you know, AI is going to rule the world. You know, humans are great, but robots, and you know, he knows there's humans involved. But our take on that, I would say, is that we're going to have a lot more creative people, and creativity is going to have to be part of the driving engine of that. How hard is that to sell to big companies?
Well, if you want to be a tactical marketing person, I would be concerned. Because you can, if you're the person that's doing the social media updates and you're just doing things that there's no strategy, I wouldn't want to be in that space. I think those are things that are going to go away, and Christopher's probably right about those things. But what we're lacking is marketing strategists, people that really understand what business model are we creating here. I really believe that, I mean, look at all the companies, look at Amazon, look at Apple, look at how they're changing their product sets, they're offering different things. Amazon's the absolute best example of that. I think a lot of these people go to market thinking they're always going to sell what they sell right now. Why don't you do something different and just focus on creating great experiences for customers and audiences, and they will tell you what they will buy. I think that's the core. I think if you and I are starting a business tomorrow, what we're going to do is say, not what are we going to sell, we're going to say who's the audience. And then we're going to say we're going to create a trusted, loyal audience, and they're going to then buy whatever we put in front of them. I just think that that's the best way to, that's the least risky way to do it, but we just keep doing the same. Oh, what's our product? What's the value proposition there? What's the features, benefits? We'll go to market. How do we interrupt? And I just think, man, it's so much more exciting to figure out what are the pain points of my customers, how can I be indispensable to them every day, and then if you are indispensable, you'll be able to generate all kinds of revenue and new products you never thought of before.
Oh, but Joe, stick to your knitting. Amazon's a book company, you know?
You know, they'll always just sell books.
Jeff Bezos, you know, knocks down a door at Amazon Video and says, you guys gotta make me a Game of Thrones. I'm sick of your dumb movies. Make me something better. That's what he's fighting about. He's fighting about how many Alexas we need. And that's not what he started with. Now, where do I feel like we've been telling the creatives and the dreamers for a long time, this is your time. Is this their time? Is this where they get to help kill marketing?
Well, I think that if you are in the marketing space, to me, this is the most exciting time ever to be a marketing person, because most marketers are just trying to build a business case around what they sell. I believe if you do this right and you actually follow this, that you can create the underlying business model for the entire organization that you're in. Like, I really believe that Salesforce may not be selling software as a service products in sales and marketing in 5 years. They could be doing something else. Like, oh my God, Amazon was a book company. Oh, how do they get into web services and hosting? And oh my God, now they're getting into pharmacy, but there's no business that they will not be in. Well, why can Amazon do that? Because they've got one of the biggest audiences in the world, and they've been working on it all this time. And we're focused on how do we get search engine results, and not that those things aren't important, but they're tactical. And I just want people to think bigger about what's possible instead of, oh yeah, I've got a hammer and I'm gonna hammer in this nail, instead of saying maybe I don't need a hammer, maybe I need something completely different.
He's Joe Pulizzi. The book is Killing Marketing, Content Marketing Institute. Where do we get this book besides everywhere? Is there some special fancy URL?
Find bookstores everywhere, killingmarketing.com. That's the easy way to do it. If you want to reach me, I'm at Joe Pulizzi, Pulizzi on Twitter.